6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
International superstar, Miss Mother B. Rocker.
You are now tuned in to Butter B. Rocker on Transparency Talks Podcast.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Transparency Talks Podcast. I am your girl, Buttery Rocker. Listen, we have an amazing show for you today. I'm super excited about this young man. But before I bring on this special guest, I just want to thank you guys so much for always supporting everything that I'm doing. My film, Finding the Perfect Guy, is now, I just looked online today. It's now streaming on 24 platforms and it's been out for 7.5 months. So, I'm super excited about that. Thank you. Also, we have, as you guys know, I have BBR Indie Films Festival, and our next event is on my birthday, May 15th. We have selected all of our panelists. Listen, guys, we have the Vice President of We TV and All Black that's going to be there. We have Jason C. Louder. We have Maurice Curry. We have Emmy Award-winning Chris Silbert. We have, I just went blank. We have Matthew Steele that's going to be there, who is a music sync agent. We have so many amazing people that's going to be there to support you and your films that we selected. We are announcing all of the filmmakers right now. And so you guys can go and get your tickets like immediately because it's absolutely going to sell out. All of them have sold out, but this one is going to sell out quick. So tickets are available. You can go to www.bbrmediagroup.com. You can also go to Eventbrite and look for BBR Indie Films. That's INDIE Films with an S. So y'all did not come here to see me. You came to see the man. He is an award-winning television host. He's a producer. He's a cultural innovator, the creator of BET's Rap City, the one and only legend, entertainment legend, Mr. Alvin Jones. How you doing, King?
Hey, I came here to see you. I heard that you were going to be here, and I'm like, all right, what time I need to be here? I'm ready. I got my suit, but not my tie, so I'm only halfway there. But
No, you looking great, King.
Thank you. You're not bad for 65 years old. You know what I mean?
So, Alvin, I like to dive right on in. I would like to let the audience know a little bit about yourself.
Okay. First thing I always say, I am the son of Lois and Billy Jones. Those are my parents. My dad's 93. He's going to be 94 in June. And my mom's 91, and they're going to be celebrating their 66th wedding anniversary next month. And so it all started from there. That's where I got my foundation, that and my family. Matter of fact, we're doing a family reunion this summer. So for all of it, that's the background, and I think that's important for everybody, having family. I have family by blood and I have family by choice. And those are the things that I think I'm most, grateful for. Those are the people who have kept me grounded. They've celebrated my success and kicked my butt when I was doing wrong. So if you want to know who Alvin is, yeah, I'm the son of Lois and Willie Jones. Boom. Now, what have I accomplished in the world of entertainment and music? We got to start with August 28th, 1963. I was 4 years old, and that was the day that the March on Washington happened. And I didn't go. I stayed with my cousin Sylvia because my cousin Sylvia was babysitting me. But my parents and some of my other cousins went down to the March on Washington. And I remember that because, they didn't have big screen TVs. They had little black and white TVs. I think it was maybe the 13-inch TV that you sit on top of the console because the main TV and the stereo system broke. And I'm watching the March on Washington in 1963, and I'm trying to find my parents, believe it or not. But I'm like, where's my mommy? Where's my daddy? I'm 4 years old, and it was 250,000 people. And I think that day kind of set the pace for me because I realized that media is very important, and getting involved in issues and situations that are bigger than you are what's important. So um, I've always been, as they say, smart. I've always been a nerd. And it's kind of funny now that, it's almost like Sheldon Cooper, covers hip hop. So that's what I think is so funny about it. And there are a lot of folks that are out there that feel kind of out of place because they want to do things that their friends or most of the people in the culture don't want to do. But I say go for it because that is the gift that God has given you.
Awesome. I am being told that it's bad signals going on. So I'm trying to get confirmation if it's stopped or if it's still going on.
Okay.
'Cause one thing I don't want to do is taint this interview because I'm super excited about it and I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to hear you. So give me just 1 second so that I can look myself and see if we are having any issues online. Because
Hey,
I do.
look, I'm also a producer and director, so I understand. 90% of this is behind the scenes. The easy part is standing up and talking. So
Absolutely.
technology's not there.
Excited about it, and I want to make sure. Okay, well, it actually looked, I just looked online. It looked fine to me. So hopefully we don't have any more problems. If we are, you guys please definitely put it in the comments so I can know. But I just checked and it looks fine. So we can go ahead and proceed. So
So,
I'm
folks, no, this is live. You can tell this is live because we're making sure that everything happens. Uh, it's, yeah, it's there's no take two. It's what it is, and I've had some wonderful moments where things have gone live, and I've had some moments like, okay, what happened? So that
absolutely.
process. That's what makes me so grateful and keeps me in gratitude because there's so many things that could not go right. There's so many things that was almost, and we got stories. I almost did this, and almost. Oh, speaking of the almost story, since we're there, and I haven't told many people this. There are two things that have happened in my life, and I'm like, okay. Number one, um, Joan Knight. We went to school together, Howard. She went to law school. She was working with the union for the baseball players. And then she came across, I remember it was 1997, she came across this deal. And there was two people that she was going to do PR with, and she wanted me to come in because I do PR on the side. Not for me, though. Eddie Roman is my PR guy. He's wonderful. So, every guy has to have a guy. So Eddie's my PR guy. But Joan had come to me and said, hey, um, there's an televangelist that wants us to do some work with him. It was a couple, Mac and Brenda Timberlake. So that didn't happen because Mac ended up with throat cancer. And then there's this new group that she was going to work with out of Houston. That was Destiny's Child. And for some reason, it didn't come through, but it was like, oh, okay, I remember that group. And of course, Destiny's Child went on, and then you became Beyonce. Then there's another scenario. It's a buddy of mine, rest his soul, Bob Ballard. Bob was doing concerts, and he said, "Hey, man, I want to get back into doing concerts." And this is like 90. Ooh, this had to be like 96, 97, also. And there was he wanted to do a concert out here in Maryland at Eleanor Roosevelt. So I got to make sure I get I'm a journalist, so I was trying to get my details together. And the guy came to here's some money, guys, and they said, okay, we want to do this, boom. And so we narrowed it down, and we got the concert. And this was going to be this guy's first concert. It was him and Blase Blase, right? And so we went to the people for the money, and they turned it down. Do you know who that person was? It was Jay-Z.
Oh wow.
And at the time, somewhere I got in my archives, I think I still have that contract with the writers and stuff. And I think it was only $6,500. So, those are the things the stories that we were almost there. It could have happened. So those are two of my stories. But I tell you this, um, but there's only one regret I have in my life. You know what that is?
No, what's that?
I had Muhammad Ali's autograph and I lost it.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. I still don't know because at that time I was in school and I was living at home. Before I stayed at home until I bought a house, and so that top drawer where you keep your change, your wallet, your condoms if you're a guy. You keep your social security card, all of that stuff. It was
Right.
in there, and that's the only regret I have in life. That's the only thing.
Wow. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to talk about how you created Rap City and everything. But before we can go to that, I need to understand when did you want to get into radio? What made you want to pursue even going to BET?
All right, so let's go back to when I was 4.
Okay.
Discovered that media. What I looked at was, I'm gonna tell you how long ago it was. You know how people would say, "Oh man, I came home and I watched Rap City when I got home, and Tigger and all this stuff was there." Yeah, when I was young, I got to stay up past 7 o'clock, which was my bedtime, if somebody black was on TV. It's like, oh, somebody's black. Wake Alvin up. Hey, huh? Yeah, this Sammy Davis Jr. Okay. Um, so that I think I learned the power of media, and I also looked at the positive images that you saw on TV. They were either athletes or entertainers. So I
Hmm.
be an athlete entertainer. So in high school, played football, the defensive end, and I was going to go to Howard, but I didn't play that first year. And so I was going to go the second year, and I got a chance to work with WHUR, which is the home of the original Quiet Storm. So I got a chance to work with Melvin Lindsay, and ended up first I was doing overnight Saturday nights, and then I was you know fortunate enough to do the Quiet Storm on the weekends, which means Melvin Lindsay, who had created the Quiet Storm, I was his relief on the weekends. And whenever Melvin went on vacation, I would sit in for him for the week. It's funny because Melvin would always call me, "Hey, just let you know I'm going on vacation." And I'm like, okay, so that means I get 9 days of work. Oh, that's overtime. Um, what I appreciated about Melvin Lindsay, he was the ultimate gentleman. He was one of the kindest souls you'd ever want to meet. He was classy. Um, but he carried his class with gentleness. So there was no braggadocio about Melvin. It was just very cool. And so when Melvin took me under his wing, one of I just felt, wow, this is amazing, because everybody's like, oh, Melvin Lindsay's great. I'm like, yeah, and he's working with me, and he's helping me. He's putting something in me. Um, so that was always interesting because when Melvin asked me to sit in, I took it as something grand because two things. Number one, um, this is a number one show, Quiet Storm. This is the man who invented the whole love song format, and so this is the Paramount show, and he felt comfortable with me sitting in for him, which means he could go on vacation and have a good time and not worry about the show just going to hell in a handbasket. But also, he trusted me. He didn't, he felt comfortable with me, and he didn't worry that I would try to, take over backstage. It wasn't going to be one of those all about Eve things. So to have his faith and trust to me was incredible. So I really got started doing broadcasting in high school. I did the morning announcements at Duval High School. And so, today for lunch, we're going to have pizza burger. Yum, yum. But for me, it was always about getting messages out. It was always about knowing that information is needed. There's so many things that we don't know. I'll give you an example. So, Butter, next time that someone that you care about has a birthday, you know what you can do? Real
What?
simple. You can go find out where they live, who their congressman or their senator is, And what you can do is you request that a flag be flown over the Capitol for their birthday. So
Hmm.
I think it's like $19 and they'll ship it. So what'll happen is the flag gets flown and it gets folded and it gets sent to them and they get a little plaque that says this flag was flown over the Capitol for your birthday. Ain't that cool?
That is cool.
So there's a lot of things, a lot of information. Matter of fact, I did a talk show with XM Radio from 2000, was it 2003 to 2007? It's called TMI, Too Much Information. So I've always been a nerd. And people go, who cares? And I'm like, yeah, like I said, I was like the Black Sheldon Cooper. But, doing the Quiet Storm made you cool. You know, hosting Video Vibrations, one of the first shows to go national, made you cool. And, creating Rap City made you cool. But okay, it's okay to be cool, but how do I leverage that? Can I get messages out to people to let them know what's going on and what's affecting them? So for the from 1999 to about 2019, I was working up on Capitol Hill because covering the hearings and things like that. I want to know what's really going on. That's, you know, um, you know, rock stars and hip hop artists have millions, but up on the hill, you're talking trillions of dollars, trillions of dollars. So I wanted to know where the money was and what was going on. I remember one of my favorite days is when I got my Capitol Hill credentials. I called one of my best friends, Lavonia. I'm like, look what I got. I'm up on the hill. So, I've been able to be there for the State of the Union, a lot of the hearings that go on. So that's a whole interesting. When I do a book, that'll be like my second or third book of what happens up on the hill. But yeah, to me, I've always wanted to be a communicator. I wanted to talk. I wanted to give out information. I wanted to find out what's going on. And so, I mean, that's what I like about what you're doing with the movie. That your movie, it's a twist. What I really like, I saw the trailer. I'm going to see the movie when your cousin sends them to your uncle. He goes, he said, "So what are you going to do? We're gonna go golfing. We don't golf. We putt putt. That's funny.
Thank you.
It's the whole scenario of he's going, and here's this guy, who's just as militant as most, folks. Because I'm from North Carolina, I got cousins like that, shotgun by the door, the whole 9 yards, and he's just going there, and he's like, "Yo, yeah, we don't golf. We putt putt." That to me is just hilarious. Which that line.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right.
All right.
So now you start working at BET. You're working with Bob Johnson. And what made you say, you know what? What inspired you to say, I want to create Rap City?
All right. Well, a couple of things. Number one, first day there at BET, I was one of the 20 people that got hired. So that Friday before September 17th of 1984, there were 20 people working at BET. The day that I came in, which was my mother's birthday, I always tell people, best thing you can give your mother if you're a son is a full-time job. So she was happy. But I wanted to have the first Black television network, and I didn't, but I got a chance to work for it. So my first day, I'm going, hey, this is going to be great. I'm working for a Black television network. We're going to do this, and that. And so Bob Johnson comes in. We were in the production department up in Bethesda because corporate was down in Georgetown. And Bob says, my goal is for BET to be the predominant source for advertisers to reach the Black community. And he says, I plan to call Jeff Lee. Jeff Lee was the vice president of network operations. He's the one that offered me the job. He says, I plan to call Jeff from my boat and say, how are things going, Jeff? And he says, fine. He says, good, I'll call you tomorrow. So I understood this was a business. Now, with BET, you had a flagship show, Video Soul, with Donnie, Green Eyes. Everybody loves Donnie, one of the most talented people that you want to meet and one of the most positive people, straightforward guys. Matter of fact, I'm surprised because before he did BET, he was doing weekend sports at NBC. And I'm surprised that Donnie didn't just go on to be a sportscaster. He probably could still be one if he wanted to. So Donnie Simpson, man of many talents. So Video Soul was the show. That was the the capstone. And so we had, when my show came in, Video Vibrations, our first day was October 1st of 1984. So that day, we expanded. So that show was 4 hours long. So Video Soul is 2 hours, and there's not many black videos. So you really can't play the videos that they just played. So we're playing pop. So I'm playing David Bowie, I'm playing Rod Stewart, I'm playing Ronnie Milsap, Autograph, Corey Hart, Sunglasses at Night, the whole 9 yards. And so we were playing everything. We went to the record labels and we said, look, send us all your videos. We'll give you an hour. The only people that did that was CBS Epic. So every day you saw Bruce Springsteen and the Jacksons and SOS Band and who else? Billy Joel for that hour. So it started to expand. So as rap videos started coming in, now remember back in the day, rap music wasn't really played that much. You had Curtis Blow, and you may have had, Nucleus with Jam on it, but most radio stations didn't play rap throughout the day. They took rap and they put it on a Friday night hip hop show or mix show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only place that was playing all rap was K-Day in LA. So what would happen, videos would come in and we would play them. And because we had Houdini, UTFO, Roxanne, Shantae. And what would happen in New York, you had Ralph McDaniel and Lionel Martin with Video Box. And everybody watched that. And they would see that when Video Soul came on, you didn't have any rap. So the reputation was BET doesn't play rap. So I go to the New Music Seminar in New York, and I meet Luke and Queen Latifah and a bunch of folks, and we're talking. And it was Hank Shockley with Public Enemy, and it was Ice-T. So around that time, Colors, the movie Colors was out. So Ice-T had just debuted with that video for Colors, right? And so Hank Shockley and Ice-T and I, we're talking on the 8th floor of the Marriott Marquis. And we're going back and forth about, oh, you're not playing videos. I am. I said, okay, tell you what. I'm going to do a week of just rap. If it's not rap, guess what? It's a commercial. So I was the original Don't Believe Me, Just Watch. So we did this the week. So back in the day, school did not start until after Labor Day. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to do is put it on before school started because the show comes on at 4 p.m. But 4 p.m. in New York is 1 p.m. in Seattle. So I wanted to make sure we put the show on when people were at home and not in school. Did that, boom, highest ratings in the history of BET. So then we decided to do one for Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's. That's when we did a bunch of shooting up in New York. There was a guy, James Ebron. James was the vice president of sales for BET. And BET had just moved out of HBO's sales office to their own office. So he let us use this brand new office, didn't even have furniture. And it was funny because I was talking to Cool Rock Ski. I saw him last week. We were talking about the time that we were doing the tapings there. So you had Boogie Down Posse, you had Get Fresh Crew, you had Audio 2 and Milk, you had MC Light, Sweet Tea, Shinehead, Eric, you had Rakim, you had all of these artists. And they were literally, because we didn't have seats, sitting on the floor waiting to go into the room to be taped. And James was kind enough. He got us pizza and soda. And it was just one of the things I'll never forget. You got all of these rap artists sitting on the floor eating pizza and so forth. So we did that. It aired between Christmas and New Year's, highest ratings in the history of BET. So do it once, highest ratings. Do it again, we break the ratings again. Then when New Edition had the Heartbeat album, we did a special to launch that. That broke BET's ratings. And then we did another one during during Easter. And we took MC Hammer and we went out to, I think it was Johnson Junior High School over in Southeast. So we had MC Hammer, we had Lewis's brother, we had, on the stage, we had about 8 people. And these were all people who were part of the music industry. Mm-hmm. They were marketing people, a limousine company. they were the publicists, and they all talked about their job, because what we were saying is, okay, you don't have to be an artist to get into this industry. And so, boom, did it again. Highest ratings in the history of BET. I went on vacation, and they said, boom, we're going to create a rap show. So it was one of those things of, okay, y'all think I don't do rap? Okay. You're like, you say I don't play rap. I'm going to show you. I'm going to do a whole week of rap. See what yeah. And then boom, each time it happened. So it was good because Hank Shockley and we also got into, look, if you think you're just going to grab your Johnson and call women's B's and H's, I'm not doing this. And he's like, well, you're being a censor. I said, no. Let me explain something to you. At that time, my aunt was 89 years old. And I'm like, remember I told you how I felt about my family, brother? I'm not getting a call from my 89-year-old aunt about what I'm playing on TV. And so Public Enemy came out with the Night of the Living Bassheads video. And he goes, yeah, I thought about what you said. So sometimes you have to have conflicts. You got to talk to people that you don't agree with. And I found recently, it was at the BRE Black Radio Exclusive Conference back, and that was like 88, 89 too. There was a lengthy panel because of NWA that we weren't playing their music, and we can't play this. And it was just funny. I was looking at it, and I could see my face, and I could see Ice Cube's face, and we're going back and forth. But what I do remember about that, because Eazy-E was alive in that time, and we were talking, and I said, listen, I know where you're coming from and what you're representing, and I don't expect you to change. I said, it's like this. I grew up in Glenard and Ardmore. I can't go back to the rec center and playing basketball and acting like I'm Big Shot. Hey, I'm Alvin Jones on BET and Quiet Storm. And they go, dude, remember you used to miss the bus? My mama used to pick you up from the side of the road. So we were able to have a conversation about what I can do and what I can't do. And I think that is always important. You know, if I can't do something, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you why. And like I said, with Hank and I, with that conversation, with them thinking I didn't play rap or BET didn't play rap, I said, okay, we're going to fix this right here and there. And with what I said about what I thought should happen with the videos and how people should be represented, they thought about that when they did Night of the Living Bassheads. So for me, it's always, you got to have that conversation, especially if it's a conversation that's difficult. And sometimes conversations are difficult because they're needed.
Absolutely. So with Rap City, it became a launch pad for iconic artists like Jay-Z, Notorious B.I.G., so many others. Can you describe the process for selecting those artists? Because like you just said, you work semi-selective on what you would and wouldn't play.
Well, let me just say this. I left to start my own company in 91.
Okay.
So for me, I was a little more picky about stuff, but at the same time, I wanted to give everybody an opportunity. So no, it's funny because I remember before I left, when Tupac had Brenda had a baby. Matter of fact, right after around the time I was leaving, I remember he spoke at an elementary school here in Washington D.C. and he was talking about he was going to do the movie with Janet Jackson, and so there's a lot of times when, hold a second, I just need to do that. There's a lot of times when people give into stuff. For me, I've always been very, I'm not going to do it if I don't feel it, type of person. So the process of what they did after I left, I don't know. And here's the thing. When you create something, you don't create it to dominate it. You create it so that it can grow. And I have to take my hat off to everybody who was a part of Rap City for that 19 years to be able to take it and keep growing. For me, it's about planting a seed and you move on, because I've done other things. I was with my company and one of my partners, we were like the first people to put video online. So as we're doing StreamYard here, we did some pieces back in 2006 with NAACP Image Awards. We did some stuff with TV Guide over at Candid, the film festival. So for me, it's about being innovative and opening the door and let other folks go. So no, some of the things they did, like with Tigger in the Basement, with Joe Claire. It's funny because I always tell this joke. when I first met Joe Clare, he was working with Tracy Wiggs. Tracy is a manager and promoter for comedians. So Tracy was working at NBC, and I was at NBC when I moved over to work with Donnie and Melvin over at Kiss FM. And Tracy was going to go on the road, and he goes, "Oh, I want you to meet my boy," and it was Joe Clare. So Joe, I met at NBC. He was working in I don't know if we can say. Oh, we're gonna say it. I think the statute of limitations are. So Joe was working in the mailroom, and back in the day when you had parties, there was no internet, so you had to send out invites. So Joe would hook us up with postage. So it was just funny. It's like, yo, you slide them and put some through it. You drop them in the office. But for me, you can't hold on to things. You can't. You got to give people their shot, their opportunity. And the fact that something that I created and thought about in 1988 lasted 20 years later. Because, the show was on the air for 19 years, but it took a year for it to get started. That's 2 decades. Think about it. I always tell people now, hip hop is 50 years old. Hip hop qualifies for AARP. If rap was my child, it'd be a sophomore in college.
Okay, so you're the innovator behind Rap City. Then you moved on, and like you just said, you put the first video online. And then from there, what else have you invented? What else have you been the inventor of?
Okay, I've been working with women in business. There's a show called the Women's Business Report, so we're bringing that back into fold. It's wbrtv.us. And what I want to do with that, I want to do for women in business the same thing I did for hip hop. There's so many women entrepreneurs, executives, business owners who don't get their proper due. It's funny. It's like this past weekend, I went to a gala for Ms. Lawana Russell. She has Business Management Associates. And so she's been in business for 19 years. She's got over 100 employees. And there are people like, oh my gosh, there's so many women like Dr. Jen Welter, who's the first female coach in the NFL who's been on the show. We've had people like Ethel Taylor, who had Doggy Washerette, which is a grooming service that did so very well that PetSmart and all of them tried to take her out of business. And then
Wow.
you've got, I can see her face as big as day, but this young woman came over from India with $200 in a backpack. And 2019, she was subcontracted with $100 million contract under Boeing.
Wow.
Yeah, so those are the things that go on. You have all these women. Dr. Maya Rockamore, who is the widow of Elijah Cummings, the congressman from Baltimore. So there's so many women that are just doing so many great things. So that's where I want to go. So the whole Rap City piece was the precursor. So if I can do this for rap, I can do it for women in business. And I also have a show, actually, it's a radio show. We're getting ready to develop it to go online also, and that's called Planet Jazz. So it's kind of like smooth jazz, but with a little more flavor. So it's not as tinny as some smooth jazz is what people complain about. But it's good because, buddies of mine like Kirk Whalen, Brian Culbertson, Marion Meadows, and, you know, just talked to the other day, Bob Baldwin. So all of these guys, and what I realized, their music is incredible. If you go to a smooth jazz concert, you're just going to be enjoying yourself. So we're doing that. And just, I'm thinking about creating a foundation which will go towards youth as far as who want to get into broadcasting, but not just as MCs, but I want folks who are going to be journalists, who are going to not gossip, but talk about things that are important, that are relevant. Because right now, and this is the thing that I like about you, there's so many people who are online and it's all about them or how they look, but your issues and just like I said with your movie, Finding the Perfect Guy, it sets it in a situation that's that's different from what you see, but that is a part of what goes on. And so we need more journalists. We need more people who look for the facts and not the gossip. So that's, I'm thinking about, I'll make a decision in July about that. But oh, here's the other thing I am doing. Putting together, it's going to be a podcast called Rap City Creator Presents. And so that's going to be when we go back and we talk to some of the icons, the Carius ones, where we talk to the Roxanne Shantays and the Kid and Plays, MC Hammers, the Queen Latifahs, where we talk about those days of how it got started. Because we got memories. Cool Rock Ski and I, we were talking about the Christmas special we did the first year of Rap City. And I was like, yeah, man, remember? He goes, yeah. I said, because I rode over. He said, yeah, yeah. He said, Marky, because I rode over to Children's Hospital from BET Studio in Buffy's Mercedes, because Buffy and Marky D drove down from New York for the special. And those are just the things of me talking to MC Hammer. I think I still somewhere got the cassette he gave me in 1988. Before he even presented something to BET. So those are all those stories. I want to be able to talk to Hank Shockley about what we had talked about that day and how it made a difference.
That is amazing. You are doing some wonderful things. Um, your the your women's project that you're working on definitely sounds like something that I should be a part of. Hint, hint. But you are doing some amazing things.
I caught it. Yeah. Just if you get a chance, go to wbrtv.us. That's Women's Business Report, but we make it easy because if you know Women's Business Report, it's hard to write out. If you go
Mhm.
wbrtv.us, it's a lot easier. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we are coming down to my time, but I want to say thank you so much for being a part of Transparency Talks podcast. I have learned so much from you, and I feel like there needs to be a part two because I feel like we have more to discuss and everything. But how can people get in contact with you or support you?
Okay. You want to reach me, info@alvinjones.com. info at alvinjones.com. You can reach me that way. Emails, I do respond. My Facebook, it should be, well, for Instagram and Twitter, it's the Alvin Jones. TheAlvinJones. And you can also look me up on Facebook. I think it's AJ or something like that. But yeah, just Alvin Jones. And so I do respond to DMs and requests and things like that. And we are doing things on the road. So I will show up for the opening of an envelope. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for being a part of Transparency Talks podcast. To everybody listening, we are out of here, but Alvin, you stay on for a second. So we will
Okay.
talk to you guys later. Peace, y'all.
So part two is coming. Part two. Yes.
Absolutely. We have to schedule a part two, Alvin. Okay, everybody, we out of here. Peace.